Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. As you can see in the description, yes, this is going to be a full step-by-step tutorial on how to build a gaming PC. This PC currently is going to be a high mid-tier PC, but a little bit of disclaimer, it has been very tough to get these GPUs. At the time of this recording, mining has been a booming industry right now, and a lot of people are buying up GPUs. Scalpers, miners are literally just running out there and buying GPUs. So it has been very difficult to buy a GPU, especially a high-end GPU like a 3080, 3090, 6800, 1600 XTs. Even CPUs have been a little difficult. But we're gonna go through the parts in here. But like I said before, I hope you guys enjoy this. It did take a little while to build, to make this video. But let's get this started, and let's start with the parts. Also guys, if you do like the video and you want to see more content like this, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment in the description below. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know what you guys are looking for. Maybe I could do another video like this and building PC parts, using PC parts to make a build. So just again, leave all that in the comments below. And of course, throughout the video, there's going to be all these parts. I will leave an affiliate code from Amazon on the description below, so you can find any one of these parts on Amazon. So again, thank you and enjoy the video. All right, so now as we go and get ready to build this, let's go over a couple of the parts that we have here. So right here we have the Ryzen 9 5900X. Like I said before, one of the very hard GPUs to get. It took me a little while to get this GPU. We also have three different ones of storage here. So we have the 980 Pro as well as the 970 Pro. But the beauty of the 980 Pro is that it's a PCIe 4.0 drive. So this gets the next gen, the Gen 4. So for the M.2 drive. And then I also got an older one, the 970 for the Gen 3. Got 2 gigabytes of storage, 2 terabytes of storage, excuse me. These 2 terabytes of storage is going to be to store the videos that I'll be taking during my gameplay and everything like that. Of course, we got the Rogue Strix B550F gaming motherboard, and this is where basically all the parts are going to go to, and we're going to go step-by-step tutorial on how to install everything. We got the Lian Li O11 dynamic with the Lian Li Uni fans. These fans as well was pretty hard to get. Very popular fans that are going on right now. It was a lot of fun. Very hard to get these, but exciting to actually be able to get one of these and actually put this in the build. Then we got the Trident Z's. I got 3600 speeds on this with 32 gigabytes. So this is gonna fill up all the every single stick. So I got 4 in here. So this is gonna fill up everything on the motherboard as well for the memory. I got a EVGA 850 80 plus bronze. This is going to be for the power supply, the power that's going to power the GPU. And then we have your Kraken X53 right there. That's going to cool the CPU. And then of course the Radeon RX 6800. So all of this we're going to work and get this all into that beautiful PC case. So let's get started. All right, so as we start here, so a few things I recommend before we even start touching the motherboard is a couple of tools. First tool is definitely try to get yourself something just like this. iFixit has one of these little packets that brings a bunch of different tools, because you're gonna need a few of these to for the screws. If not, you can always use a simple Phillips screwdriver. Will work as well. So these are a couple things I recommend in tools before we get started. So definitely recommend to get that. So let's get this puppy open. So as we open this up and get ready to reveal this thing right here. So a few things that are going to be in the box, of course, is going to be your user guide. So you're going to need this, your manual, to understand a few things that are going on. So we're going to put this to the side because we're going to need that again. Then you're going to have your cables, your SATA cables. They're going to be in the bag. You're going to put this to the side as well. Some zip ties. You can always use these, especially for cable management. And because we're going to be putting an M.2 drive, those little screws for the M.2 drive right there. All right, and when you start this, I always recommend to make sure you handle the motherboard with as much care as possible. And that up. I'll put that to the side. Now here you got your motherboard. So here in your motherboard, of course, is what we have here. So you have your plugs and connection here. And then you're gonna have where your CPU goes, your GPU goes, your M.2 drive, all that stuff here. So your M.2 drive is gonna go here. This is why I said you're gonna need a Phillips screw driver. So you're gonna remove it here and fit it here. Make sure you follow your manual's motherboard because it depends on which ones they're gonna be on, but you put it here. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go into opening up the CPU. So here we got our, again, Ryzen 9 5900X. Let's open this up. All right, now that we got that open, this box, this big box for this little CPU, yeah, this big thing right here, for this little thing here, of course. So we're gonna put this in. So open this up. Again, be careful to open this up. And make sure you grab the CPU by the sides, like that. Try not to touch any of those pins, because if any of those pins do get bent, then your CPU will not work. So there you go. All right, so now we got the CPU out of the box. So I'm gonna try to get this to focus, but you see that little triangle up here to the corner? That triangle right there, right there, is what we gotta focus on right there. Yep, is what you're gonna have to try to match the triangle that's here on the motherboard. So the triangle is right on top there, as you can see. So we're gonna try to get that matched out. So basically what you're gonna do is remove this, pull it up, and then you're just gonna seat it right on there. You're gonna drop it nicely, let it fall, and then you're gonna get some resistance, and then switch absolutely normal, and you click. There you go, a little tug, and there it is. Your CPU is simple and seated right there. So you can see the triangle matches the triangle right up top there, and that's what you want it to match. Also, if you get a little confused, you can always go to your motherboard's manual and find where the triangle is at. So now that we got the CPU installed, now let's get the RAM sticks installed. So once we get that, now we're gonna get the RAM. So the RAM, like we said before, are these DDR4 Trident Z RGB sticks. So these are 3600 with a CAS latency 16, and I got 8 gigs by 4. So a total of 32 gigabytes that we're going to be putting in the slots here. So these slots right here are where you're going to be putting those the RAM cards in there. So as we get ready to put this inside, so they come with 2 different kind here. So we have them here. So we'll open this up. Now guys, feel free to leave any comments in the descriptions if you have any questions on anything. So we're going to take out these RAM sticks here. Now this is RGB, so we're going to be able to have adjustable RGB and give it a nice couple colors, whatever we want to do in terms of colors. Not everybody's about the RAM, the RGB on the RAM sticks, but RGB gives it a nice little touch to your grid to make it a little bit more personal. All right. Okay, so a couple of things that we're gonna go over with the RAM sticks is, as you can see here, you're gonna see that you have numbers here, DIMM B1, B2, A1, and A2. If you're confused, if you don't have 4 RAM sticks like I do, and you only have 2, which is absolutely fine, you can literally just go into your manual and actually see right here. So your manual actually tells you here that B2 and A2 are the preferable recommended memory configurations if you're just doing two drives, so B2 and A2. Due to the fact that I'm doing all 4, it doesn't matter for me. So that's a little tidbit I want to give you guys for those who are trying to build the PC and are a little confused on this end. Usually the asterisk will tell you. If not, just go into your motherboard manual and you'll actually be able to see where the RAM sticks go. So on my end, I'm just going to put all 4 sticks into this one. When going to put your RAM sticks in, you got to pop these open here like that. So you click, and then you're going to line them up. And when you line them up correctly, you should hear a click when you push. And there we go. So that's simple and easy on how to install your RAM sticks. Now we're gonna move on to the M.2 drive. So now that we got our CPU in, our RAM sticks in, the next step, like I said before, is gonna be our M.2 drive. As you see here, it says M.2, but it is a little confusing. This M.2 is actually for Gen 3, and then the top one is gonna be for Gen 4. Now, how do I know that? Is basically just going into the motherboard manual, and as you can see here, M.2 1 socket 3 right there supports PCIe Gen 4, and then the second one is Gen 3. So basically we're going to take this up, we're going to open this up here, and this, we're going to make sure we don't lose these little screws because you're going to need these. And what I recommend too is having yourself like a little cup, a little shot glass cup, or even a magnet pad to hold it. Put this to the side, and it's gonna go right in this little slot right here. So now we're gonna go open up our 980 Pro. That's what it looks like right there. Put that to the side there. Take this out, and we're gonna simply. Well, before I do that, actually, I'm gonna get the standoff for the M.2 drive, which was these little standoffs I have here. So they give you two because you got your Gen 3 here and then your Gen 4. So I'm gonna put that off to the side there. So if this is gonna go here, I'm gonna press that in. Make sure we hear it click in there. And clack that. And then we're gonna place this right here. This is your standoff. There we go. And then we're gonna get our little screw. And we're gonna put it in here. Move that a little bit. Press that down. Turn. And there it is. Simple and easy. Now we're gonna put this back, but on here we have the thermal pad. So you're gonna make sure you remove this thermal pad. I'm gonna place this right back on top. There we go. Turn that in. We'll turn this one in too. There it is. And now we have installed our M.2 drive. So now that we've installed our CPU, our RAM sticks, and our M.2 drive, next we're going to do our cooler. So as here before, our Kraken NZXT X53. We're going to get this cool to keep our CPU nice and cool. There we go. Let's open this up. So now most times when you go to install a CPU cooler, you may have to change the brackets on here on your motherboard, and usually it's pretty simple to do, and we'll go over it as we go through this. So we're going to open this up, put this to the side, get some wiring, of course, and then you're going to have your fans to keep your CPU nice and cold. But what I might be doing is actually changing these CPU fans over to the Uni fans, the Lian Li SL120s. But we're gonna see as we go along with this. The brackets, like I said, there's gonna be in this bag. There is going to be an Intel bracket and an AMD bracket. So there's two brackets here. Backing stuff like that. So you're gonna have Intel and AMD. So AM4. Let's put these to the side here. And then you have your radiator. radiator, 240mm radiator with part that goes right in here. Now this is gonna have a plastic covering here. This plastic covering is covering the copper and also the thermal paste in there. So you're not always gonna need to have thermal paste. Some of these will not have thermal paste, so it's just a little tube of thermal paste you put on top of here. For that reason, I'm not gonna do that because we have thermal paste on here, so we just place it right on top. But we're gonna keep this covering on it until we actually place it on the CPU. All right, so now that we cleared everything out of the way, so now we're gonna put the orientation of the fans. I'm actually going to keep these fans. I'm not gonna replace them with the Lian Li's because I got two 3-packs, and the orientation I want to do in the case is gonna look really nice. So I'm gonna leave those Lian Li fans, and we're gonna use these NZXT fans that came with the CPU cooler. So one of the confusing things that I always find when putting one of these on is on which side should I put it on? The orientation. Should I put this side or this side? I never know. One easy way to find out is just, of course, to look at the manual. But another way too is usually this side is the exhaust side. So if you ever want the air to be exhausted, you would just put this down either on the radiator, or you put it in the case to exhaust fan. This is the exhaust, and exhaust air out that way. And then basically that's how you do it. Now, the other way to tell is sometimes these fans have like little lines that says in or out. This fan doesn't have it, but usually the newer ones will show you that. But that's a question I always have, and I always get confused whether on what side to put it. So again, this is gonna be exhaust, and this is gonna be regular side. So I'm gonna put the exhaust side here, of course, and we're gonna place them on now. So when we place them on there, you're gonna need these screws that come in the bag. So you're gonna need the long ones right here to be placed on there. So I'm gonna take them, basically most of them out, and we'll start putting them in. And it comes with some washers. So you're gonna put that like that. You're gonna get your screwdriver. I'm actually gonna go with the longer one this time, and you're gonna make sure it lines up with these holes that are right here. As you see here, you make sure you line it up nicely, so that you're gonna get them in there, and then you're gonna line them up with the washer and screw them down. And I'm gonna fast forward this as well to make this go by pretty fast. So now that I put the fans on the radiator, one of the parts that we have to do is remove these brackets here. These brackets are for, of course, if you had a cooler that came with the CPU, and this one doesn't come with one. That's why I bought a separate one, of course. So we're gonna remove these brackets and put a new back plate and a new bracket here, so that we can actually get the AIO, which is the cooler, to be placed on here, so we can get this up and running and move on to the next step. Now, when removing these, I always suggest to keep them because you might need them in the future for some reason. So just don't throw them out. Make sure you just put it back in your motherboard box so that you can keep that just in case anything changes that you want to change on here. All right, so now we remove these. Now that I removed the brackets, I'm gonna grab this pack, the AM4 pack that was in the box, and it's gonna come with these standoffs. So we're gonna install these standoffs, like so. And it doesn't have, you put it tight. Doesn't have to be crazy tight, but it's a good. Right in there, so just turn that in there. So now we got this. So try not to move the motherboard when you do remove those brackets, because the back plate that is on here will fall off quickly, because there's nothing being held onto it. But now you put the standoffs here. So we got that. And after the standoffs, you're gonna see here the CPU cooler is right here. So this originally already comes with the Intel bracket. So basically we just turn these off, and now we don't have the Intel, and we're gonna take the AMD and install it as well. So let me just turn this a little bit more again. So once you take that off, you just boom, install it. Now you're gonna grab this and you're gonna place it here, just like that. And there we go. And then you're gonna tighten it down on there, and you're gonna have your orientation. Depending on how you have your orientation, we're gonna tighten this down on there. And technically the orientation I kind of want to do when I get this into the case is we're going to turn this, actually we're going to want to do this. So being a beginner, it is a little tough to understand how you want to do this. It did take me a little finagling, but I finally got how I want it to look. So we're going to put the orientation like this of the CPU, and it was just simply changing a little bit, just changing the bracket around a little bit, untightening it, screwing it back on until I figured out how I want it. So basically it's going to be in the case just like this. The radiator is going to be on the top of the case, and that's going to be on the bottom, of course. So now let me put this here to the side, and we're going to sit here and tighten that. And let me get the screws to tighten that really fast. So here are the 4 that we're going to use to tighten it. And on top you see that has Phillips, so you can tighten it. So we're going to tighten it with our hands, with our fingers first. And we're going to do even pressure. So we're going to do is tighten that one first, then we're going to tighten the opposite side. Thumb screws, we can use a screwdriver, but I think we'll be good just using regular. You don't want to tighten too tight where it'll strip it. So now we're tightening there. Seems pretty tight, pretty good. All right, so those basic parts right now. So like we said before, RAM, stick, CPU, AIO, and then we have our M.2 drive in here as well. So now that we got all this installed, we're going to move on to installing this into the case. So after installing your AIO, as you can see here, connect all cables before turning on. So this one right here is going to be the micro USB to a USB connector here, the cable. And then we're going to have another connection here that's going to go and give you the RGB power. So we're going to plug this in as well. Not every single AIO has these. This one is one that has this. So we're going to connect these connectors. All right, and then we'll work on a little cable management to cable these correctly, so we don't see too much of this and make it very minimal. If possible, if anything, I might actually switch this and move it to the back so that I can wire everything through the back of the case instead of having everything come down. So we'll see, and we'll work on that after we go to the next step. All right, so now that we got the AIO placed on the CPU and got some of the wiring ready, we're gonna work now on the case. We're gonna put this inside the case now. We're gonna the 011 dynamic. So let's take off these thumb screws here. Slide here. Put this off here to the side. Then these panels come up. tempered glass. Nice and tinted. There we go. I'm gonna remove this to the side. Make sure it does not break. Take care of that. And then I'm gonna turn it around here. The front panel comes off too. And then we're gonna turn it around here and remove the back plate. So we can get into here, get the wiring done, and then get all the cable wires back here. These are the cables for all the USBs and power and reset buttons in the front, right here basically. So we go here. So here we go. So in here, this is basically what the inside of the case looks like. Here are just the bays for if you have SSD drives. We're no SSDs, we're gonna have hard drives. The hard drive cage is right here. We're gonna put the hard drive in here. Let me turn it around here. And also here, some mesh dust pans. Turn this around here. So back here is where your IO is gonna show here. Is where your bay is for the hard drives. Let's open this up here. Let me turn this a little bit here. There we go. Put that off to the side, and then the hard drive's here, and it has a little. Some things I gotta use two hands on this one. Oh, there we go. And we can remove this, and this is where we're gonna place the hard drives with the screws. And this case comes with a little packet that brings all the essential screws and everything that we need, which is gonna be here. We'll open this up in a little bit. And then here is gonna go, our power supply is gonna go here. So next step is we're gonna put the motherboard into the case. One of the recommendations that I was saying before is definitely to lay it flat. So when you lay it flat, you see they have standoffs here. These standoffs are basically already in here for the board. So we're gonna place the motherboard inside to make this a little bit easier. And I always say lay it flat because it makes it much easier to actually place the motherboard in. Now we're gonna try to line it up here. This little slot here is where the IO goes. So now we're gonna try to get this lined up perfectly here. So there's little holes that line up nicely. Once they line up, you should be able to, it should fall nicely in there. And like I said, this was the orientation that I wanted to put for the radiator. So I wanted the radiator on top and this here. Now that the motherboard has been placed, one of the things you want to do is, of course, get these screws into the standoffs. Sometimes it's confusing not knowing what screws going with in which, but again, the trusty dusty owner's manual tells you. So here in the owner's manual, screws for motherboard and 2.5 HDD mount. It's right there. So now I gotta look for 17 pieces of those. I'm gonna need 9 for here, so 3 for the top, 3 for the middle, and 3 for the bottom. Now another tidbit while doing this is I definitely recommend to get yourself a screwdriver that has a magnetic tip, because sometimes these come off and they fall off and then it's hard to find, especially being a black screw into a black motherboard, and it's going to be very hard to find. So one of those tidbits is definitely get a magnetic one with a magnetic tip, so that you simply can just put it in the magnet and just screw with confidence. And there's a couple already that I have placed already, so this should be the last one, and we can move on to the next step. So now this only being my second PC build, and learning over time, my little issue right now is to manage the cable wiring. So to manage this wire and this wire, of course, is I'm trying to figure out the best ways to wire this where it's visible but not an eyesore. So these are one of the things you got to look out for when building. Again, if you get a certain AIO, it's not going to have the same situation, but this lights up as well. So with the lighting, is the reason why there's a little bit extra wiring for RGB and then to power the pump as well. So I'm gonna wire this up and figure out the best way I could do this to get this done nicely and neatly. So now that I've managed a little bit of the cable wiring with the AIO, next step is of course to get this fan onto the case. So again, if you are in doubt of how to or what screws to use to get this onto the case, always go back to the user's manual on the AIO to figure that out. So for right now, on the owner's manual, we're going to use small screws. If we were doing the other way around where the fans were pointing up and not the radiator, then you would use our longer screws. So I'm going to go ahead and start. There we are. We have the motherboard on with the fan and the radiator up on the top. So now the next step is going to be working on a little bit of cable management and plugging in those wires in the back with the PSU with the power supply. We'll go on to that next. So far so good. Let's get moving on. So now I have the back of the case here, and we're gonna go over the wiring for the case. So there's a few wires here for the case. It's gonna be for the USB-Cs, for the USB, and then for the HD audio as well. So all these wires we're gonna have to connect to the motherboard. So this is the next step. I'm gonna show you guys on how to connect all these into the motherboard. So here we have the cables here. So this is gonna be for the USBs here. So you're gonna connect this to the USB switch right there, and you'll see that in your manual, the motherboard manual. So it goes there. Kind of follow the motherboard manual, but this being my second time, I kind of know where some of these go. So you go there, and then you're gonna have your HD audio cables are gonna go down here. And the beauty of some of these motherboards, they're actually labeled. It'll say HD audio, and you just gotta follow the motherboard on where to put each wire in here. And these cables right here. And the beauty is they got these little cutouts on here. See if I can get you guys to see those cutouts. So the beauty is they have some of these cutouts on the bottom of the motherboard, excuse me, of the case, right here. So you can bring out the wiring and bring it up. So it gives you a nice little clean look instead of having wires all over the place. So right there, I'm gonna move these over. And then there's the USB. All right, let's put these in. So we connected HD audio and the plugs, and then this little plug here was for the pump that we connected here, guys, to go around and put it here and have it here in the USB point. So that's just a little bit of cable management trying to do here. So now these wires here are for the fans on the top. So what you're gonna do is we're gonna reroute this up here That's why the orientation I chose, just to make sure I can get those wires back there. And once they're back there, I'll just pull them through. Pull those through right there. Yep, I'll pull some more in, and then we'll work on cable management. So the back here, we have the wiring. So the NZXT AIO actually comes with this adapter that allows us to connect both fans to heat to this adapter, and then you connect this part to the motherboard. So you just find on the motherboard another CPU fan header, and you connect it to that. Now the beauty of this too is this comes off. This back panel here comes off. And by taking this panel off, it allows us to get a little maneuver back here. Actually, I gotta take that screw off. I didn't realize that there's a screw there. And we'll take that screw off and be able to take that and do some cable management. So now that we got most of the wirings that need to go to the motherboard that come from the case, next step is we're going to actually get ready to install the power supply. So here is the power supply we're about to get ready to install. We went over this. It's going to be the 80 plus gold 850 watt power supply from EVGA. Now at the time of this recording, some power supplies are hard to get, just like GPUs and CPUs were hard to get, and if you were to find one, they were actually overly priced due to certain tariffs and stuff like that. So let's open this up now and let's get ready. Manual, like always good to have. Now the beauty of this one, it's a modular, fully modular power supply, which allows me to get cables and route them the way I want. Instead of having a bunch of cables inside, I get to put the cables that I need in there. Sorry, it's semi modular. So, but still, big benefit, because other GPUs that are not semi-modular or modular have all the wiring in the back. So you have all this wire hanging out, and sometimes you don't need all those wires. So this is the beautiful power supply. Let me open this up. So here we go. So this is where it says semi-modular, because it has this already connected, but it's beautiful. It's black, all black. There's others that have what they call it ketchup and mustard. So here you see the connections. So you have your CPU, you have your, let me move that. You have your CPU connection, peripherals, SATA, CPU2, VGA. So these are VGAs are going to be for the PCIe, so they're going to be for the, basically for the graphics card. We're going to need 2 of these because the graphic card is going to be powered by 2, and then you're on and off. So we're going to put this inside now. So we're going to take this, there's going to be a bracket in there, and that bracket is going to go on top of here, and we're going to place that in there. All right, so I've taken out the power supply out of the box. So a few cables you're going to need with the power supply. This, because it's semi-modular, it already has the motherboard connector. So this is a 24 pin, and it's already connected. As you can tell, it's already on there. Then you're going to need the CPU. What is this? I'm sorry, this is the there's a CPU right here. So you need the CPU cable. Let me turn that right there so you can see CPU. Then you're going to need 2 VGA cables, which is the PCIe. This is going to power the graphics card. 2 of these, because the graphics card is a little requires more wattage. Then I also got a SATA, because we're going to power our fans and our hard drive, and then of course the plug that comes in here. So now let's get this puppy put into the case. So one of the things I recommend before we go into the case, of course, to make the wiring a little bit easier, is to plug them in. So you're going to want to make sure you get these plugged in before you wire them in. So we'll go with the CPU first. So you're going to put the side that is already connected like that, that doesn't have like that. And then this side is going to go into the motherboard. So this side right here that has the 4+4 pins. These are the ones that are going to go into the motherboard. Then VGA, which is going to be for the CPU. So, the GPU, excuse me, not CPU. I'm going to put this another one in. You hear that little click, and then one for the SATA. Yep, there we go. Click. All right, now they're in. Now let's get these puppies in. Oh, looks like I don't have to put it in that way. That was easy. Easier than I thought. So sometimes some cases don't allow you to put it in from the side. They make you put it into the front so that the mounting goes here. So this doesn't come with a front plate mount. It just literally has the holes set and ready. And with the case, it comes with the screws, but also there's screws with the power supply. These are the silver ones. I'm going to go with the black just to keep everything consistent. So I'm going to go with the black ones here that come with the case. And then one of the things I just realized I didn't go over while putting the power supply in is where the fan goes. So the fan, you always want it to get a little bit of some type of ventilation. So when you put the back plate here, you're just going to be little vents here, and the air is going to be able to come out. So you don't want it facing towards the back of this board because there's no ventilation here. So you want the air to come out for this PSU. All right. So now next step is going to do is trying to manage these cables and try to get them through the back and try to get them organized nicely so that we can plug in the motherboard and the CPU and fans and stuff like that. So let's start wiring it up. So one thing you can do if you wanted to is get extension sleeves. And these sleeves actually give you a nice little look to the cables, so you don't have all black. I will probably upgrade this later on in the future, but right now I'm just going through the basics on how to build this this PC. So let's see here. You want a little bit of you want to cable manage it a little bit better. We're gonna wire this all up nicely. We're gonna get some Velcro ties that came with the case, and we're gonna Velcro it nicely. And then the back plate goes here is gonna cover it up even more to give it a nice little clean look once we're done. Hold back here, and we're going to figure out where to put those next. And then these are the SATA cables. We're going to keep these SATA cables in the back as well. We kind of can tuck it in like this. So we're going to plug it in first, and then we'll have this tucked nice and neatly in there. All right, let's start plugging things in. So these wire, like I said, this is a 24 pin, and then actually these pins can actually be closed up like that. So now we're gonna see, and then the beauty of it too is labeled MB for motherboard, of course. And then you're gonna want this little lip here to click to, there's a little clip here, and you want it to click to that. And you want to hear a nice little click when you go to press them in. There it is, clips on there nicely. And then a little cable management there. There, that's good. The motherboard is plugged in. Now this is where I say the extensions that we're gonna get some new cable mods and stuff like that from to get this look nicer. Depending on what color theme I'm gonna get here, we'll probably get them in the future. I'll post the photos how it looks after we're all done. Now, next one is the CPU. So here we go. And again, same thing. These are two of them together. And then this one has the clip on the top. Clipped in. And then we'll pull some of that cabling. Make it a little bit cleaner. All right, now our CPU is connected. Oh, wait a minute. Let's do that again. I think I heard it clipping. Hold on. I think we are A-okay. Just make sure. I might have to remove those cables out of there because there might be a problem, but we'll see. As long as it's clipped in. Alrighty. So now that we got the CPU connected, we'll just wire back a little bit more. There we go. Now we got CPU connected, GPU connected, CPU and motherboard connected. Basically most of the wiring connected. Next step, let's put these Uni fans in. So before I put the case fan in, I decided to go ahead and get this in there and wired up. So the hard drive. So now what we're gonna do is gonna put this hard drive right in here. Now the cool thing with the other cool factor with this case is the back plate that was back here, that was on the back of this, that was covering this up, that was covering up all this wiring right here, actually can support the hard drive to be put on the back of that. But because we have the bay here and I'm not going to remove it, I'm still just going to put it in here, and then on that back plate I'm actually going to put the box that holds the power, that gives the power to all the Lian Li cables. I'm going to put that back there. So we're going to put this in. Let's get these things lined up. So I want to make sure this is, we got to flip this. because we're going to be putting it in like that, and we want to make sure that the SATA cable wiring is in the back, so that when we put it in there, it's good to go. So where is this here? So lining this up is a little tricky. You gotta figure that out. There we go. There's the lines right there. There we go. So we got it lined up. All right. So now it's lined up. You have to get to the screwing. Now, of course, again, you gotta look into the manual because there are a couple different screws. So this is going to be for the 3.5 hard drive, and there's a screws for the 2.5 hard drive. So there's the difference there, and that's why you always got to look at the instructions just to double check, because you don't want to put the wrong screws in the wrong hard drive.
That Apollo kid is so wavy.
Then we're going to go ahead and grab it, and we're going to place it right back in the bay. Going to slide it in, click, that's it, clipped in. And then what we're going to do next is wire it up. So we're going to wire it up here, and as you can tell, I did already a little bit of the cable wiring. I put the little strap there just to keep this back a little bit more, but we're going to keep doing more. I'm not going to wire it all together because we still got a few things to do. So then now you're going to get the SATA cable that came with your motherboard, at least one of them, and then you're going to go ahead and plug the SATA data. There's SATA data and SATA power. So there's the difference. This is going to be SATA data, and this one's going to plug into the motherboard. So I'll plug this in, we'll wire it down here. Let's see if I can go up. No, we'll just go there. Might not do. Actually, let's take this one off because I don't want to put the curve on that. Oh, duh. Just because of the way it's angled. Alright. There we go. Down there. And then you want SATA power, which is this one, to go there, because you want to power up a little finagling in there. We'll get it in. There it is. Now we got SATA power. And we're going to reroute this, of course, but right now there's your hard drive connected. All right, so now that we connected the cable to the hard drive, now we connect this to the motherboard. And that's the other reason why I did it like that, because it gives it a little bit of a cleaner look instead of angling it on the other side, because then it would protrude and then it would hit the back plate or the back side of it. So now when you look at it from this angle, you can barely tell there's a wire there. There's the angle. All right, now let's get ourselves started on installing the fans. So right here are two plates that you can actually put SSD drives. So it's a hard drive, just not mechanical hard drive. But since we got M.2 drive, we technically don't need these anymore. So we're gonna remove these. So this is exhausting on top, so we gotta figure that out. So we remove those, keep those to the side. Now we have a full here. So I actually might do intake here, exhaust out here, exhaust on top. So we'll have intake, and 2 exhausts to get airflow, or I might just do 2 intakes and then make this the exhaust side. So we'll figure that out. All right, so now we got these Lian Li fans here. Now these fans are very unique, and I'll explain why they're very unique. So these are a couple things that are unique about it. They actually connect together to give it more of a seamless look. So these connectors here, right here, you slide them together, and they slide, and you have a nice clean look with very little wiring, which is awesome because cable management is a pain. Not all the time, but most of the time. So it makes the cable management much easier when getting these fans. So basically they interconnect. So you have this connection here, and then these connections here. And then what you do, you simply is line it up. So we're gonna line them up and then slide. And that's it, they click. Simple and easy. And then we do it again with the other one. So you make sure this connection and find this connection, and then once you find it, there it is, I found it. See, and then you click. Simple as that. And then you're able to look at that, 3 fans in one shot. These are awesome, absolutely awesome. And then there's a hub here that powers them up. And this right here, you connect them on there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you connect this to the motherboard on one of the CPU fans, CPU connectors, headers, and it'll power these on. And then with this, this goes into this place right here. Put it right in one of these right here. It connects like that. I'm not going to connect it because this part right here connects to this end right here. So you see that right there. So remember these plate to that plate, and then simply slide down just like the arrow says. And it's that simple and that easy, depending on what side you want to do it on. But look at that, look how beautiful that looks. And then you could just lay it down. So I can lay it here like this. And then we got beautiful fans. So it's not gonna lay up like that, but now we got the fans on there, placed there nicely, and it's gonna give you the nice RGB of fans, but also going to give you that intake or exhaust. I don't know which way I'm going to do it yet. I'm going to figure this out because I know these are going to be exhaust. The fans on the top right now with the radiator right here are exhaust, and I want to make sure I have the airflow in here nicely. So I might take this, make this intake, and make this intake and this exhaust, depending on how I feel. We'll see which way is better airflow, because you don't want negative airflow either when you're doing it. All right, so to reduce negative airflow and get the best airflow possible in the case, I basically decided to make it do an intake and exhaust. So this right here, the way I have it, is going to be the intake, so it's going to come in and exhaust up, and also this is going to be also and exhaust as well. So it's gonna exhaust out that way and then the top. That way you get airflow in and airflow out. So this should be it should work very nicely in terms of keeping it nice and cool and taking the heat out of the case. So now what we're gonna do is basically screw in everything. But before we do that, like I said, it came with the little power supply. This is basically connected to the fan header. We're gonna connect all the fans in here. There's only really, so the beauty of it is there's 4 of these here, so you can connect up to 4 different groups, but we only have 2 groups. So I'm only going to use one of these. The other one I'm going to save in the box. It also comes with this little pack here that gives you all the screws to screw each one into the case, and then your SATA cables to give it power, and then this stuff to connect it to the motherboard as well. Let's see if we can get this to focus. Come on, focus. Come on. It won't focus, but let's get this rolling. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to show you basically how we're going to screw this in, give it a little bit of room for better cable wiring, cable management, excuse me. I'm stepping on the little poppers. So basically we're going to line this up nicely. Put that in there. Where's my screwdriver? There you are. And get these in there nicely. Let's get that lined up. Alrighty. So, we'll be right back. Alright, so here is the finished look on how the fans are going to be. So, like I said, the fans here are going to be the intake, and bring air in, and then that's going to be air out, and then the top is going to be exhaust as well. So, we got the fans in, CPU, GPU, RAM sticks, M.2 drive. What is left, you say? It's going to be the GPU next. So we're going to get the GPU in next, but what I'm going to do first is, of course, cable management in the back of this case, because it is a horrible mess. Once we get that done, what we'll do is get into the steps of the GPU. So in a couple seconds, I'm actually going to show you the behind the backing of this, where all the cables are at and the wiring. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you really quick here. So I ended up having to put another connection here for the USB, and then for the fans, for the Uni fans to work. So the little plate that uses all the power is all connected, and I'll explain that and show that in the back in a minute. And then we have this little cable here that's like running down here. It looks a little funky. So I got a little cable clip that will clip in here, and it'll make it look nicer. We'll keep it down. So now we're gonna go into the back of the PC, this case, and get that wiring in the back done. So here we go. All right, so look at this mess. So what we're gonna do is gonna work on getting this mess cleaned up here. It is really bad. It's horrible right now in terms of cable modifications, but we're gonna get in there and we're gonna get this done and look nice. And what I was explaining before So this is a little connector here for the Uni fans. And the cool thing too is that it comes in the box. It comes with this little pad here, and it's a magnetic pad. So it just literally has magnetics on it, magnet on it, and it clicks on there. So I can actually literally put it on the case. So it's gonna look nice. I'm gonna start that now. So that is the best I could do right now. It doesn't look the best, honestly. I could do a little bit better cable management, but right now we're gonna leave it like this. The other beauty of it is that we have a covering. So the covering will cover a lot of that up. So I'll show you right now. Once placing this mount here, maybe like that, you'll barely tell there's any cable management there. Just like that. There we go. Now for the GPU. All right, basically coming to the end of this video. Now we're going to be installing the GPU, this beautiful RX 6800X. Let's open this up. And here it is. Here's this behemoth. Beautiful. Packaging. Throw that to the side. Look at that, baby. Look at that. That is beautiful. And again, the 8 pins, 2 8-pin. Part of the GPU, that's why I got 2 of them there. All right. And in the box, there's really nothing much else in the box. Just a Asus. Here, get a little card here, collectible card. And some owner manual stuff there. Put this away in here, and some little some little ties to tie it up. Tie up the cable management as well. All right, so now to put this GPU in, you're gonna have to take out 2 slots on the case. So you're gonna take out at least 2 of these slots. We're gonna try to measure it in and see which 2 slots we need to remove. So as we place it in, you're gonna see this go into the PCIe slot right here. So you're gonna try to go in here, and I'm gonna see which 2 slots need to be removed. So if we measure it up right there, we're gonna need to remove the 2 underneath the first one. So I'm going to go in here and remove these 2 slots right here. So we're gonna do, so this is the first one. I'm gonna do 1, 2. Alright, remove that. There's 1. And number 2. There we go. 2 removed. Now before you put it in, I'm gonna remove this little piece off of there. We're also gonna remove the plastic off of this. Where are you? Looks like this has a plastic on it as well. Beautiful. Look at that beautiful, clean GPU. And sometimes these have little plastics on the fans. They recommend to take these off too. Oh, we're gonna take the plastic off of this too. Take these little the caps off right here. These caps is for your DVI port, your HDMI port. Get those all off. And let me see if I can get the plastic off of these little circles. Like they may not have the plastic that I thought they did. So let's go ahead and install the GPU. Slide it in just like you did the RAM sticks, and you're gonna hear it click. There it is, it clicked. And you're gonna grab the 2 screws that you took out from the slots. You're gonna position it correctly. There we go. Now some big GPUs like this tend to have a tendency to sag a little bit. So like you see that little bit of a sag. So what I will try to do is maybe see if I can get like a sag bracket, but if I do get that sag bracket, it might be blocking these fans. So I have to figure that out, but we're gonna remove this plastic as well. There we go. Plastic has been removed on that, and then we put in these plugs. Now the other reason why I want to get modified cables is because this hangs. What I can do is I can probably try to get it on there by putting on some little ties, but at the same time it still doesn't look appealing. So I'll definitely be probably cable modifying these, putting some extensions on here. So I can't even say the word. So that it doesn't look so bad. All right, look at that, just perfect size. Like that. The clips right here, you want it to clip on the other side. So right here, one here clip. Didn't get the exact clip I was looking for here. I'm gonna do this at the same time with this, so it's not hanging. Put a little zip tie here, oh, a little tie there. And then flip this around. Push this in as well. There's a clip that I was listening for. We'll organize the wiring here a little bit. Clean aesthetic look, as clean as I possibly can, because there we go. So now we're basically done. Now we just got to power it on, and hopefully, if I did everything correctly, which I'm pretty sure I did, we should be able to power this on. We should get this rocking and rolling. All right, so this is basically what we have in the finished product right here. So now all we have left to do, because I did put the back panel and I did put the front panel on, all we have left to do is to power it on. So we hit the switch on the power button and we should be able to see a light. There it is. Saw a light come on. All right, now moment of truth. Yeah, let's press the power button. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that beauty. Now, it's a lot of RGB, of course, but we're going to be able to mess around with it and change the lightings and stuff like that. But we're definitely going to have some fun. So my next step now is we're going to plug it into a monitor and get this kicked off in the BIOS and install Windows and install our drivers for our GPUs to get this running, and the drivers, of course, for the fans, so we can change the colors up and stuff like that. So guys, please, leave comments below. And there it is, guys. I have officially made this PC. Right now in the background, you can tell 3 monitors are on. It's already plugged in and ready to go. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, leave in a comment if you want to know how to actually install your drivers and your Windows. I actually could do a video like that if you guys like. So just leave it in the comments below, just saying, hey, can you make a video like that? And I will definitely put that out there. Once again, thank you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and hope we see you again for some more.